really stellar results out of Nvidia yesterday.
Absolutely, yeah, and clearly playing into that big theme we've seen about the explosion of AI. And this was very much an AI quarter. Look, you look at their gaming chips, they fall 38% year on year, but their data center business up 14% year on year. Now, Nvidia makes graphics processing units, chips that effectively go into servers that power these servers to train up lots of data that train these AIs like ChatGPT, for example, and clearly there was a huge demand there. But what was even more exciting for investors was the outlook. The Q2 outlook, the company forecasting about $11 billion in sales versus $7.5 billion expected by the market, and they said that is due to the demand for so-called generative AI. The company saying also that it's procured substantially higher chips in the second half of the year as well, meaning that not only is the demand, but the company saying that it can meet that demand as well. So clearly that is what's driving these after-hour moves.
We've gone from a chip shortage to a chip glut, and clearly this is going to really bode well for the entire sector actually as a whole, right? I mean, it's not just Nvidia that is clearly seeing some gains here.
Yeah, certainly. We tend to talk about the semiconductor space as this sort of homogenous being, but it's very nuanced. Look, we look at companies like Samsung and SK Hynix. They make a certain type of chip called memory chips, which go into things like PCs. That market has done terribly this year because demand for PCs and those end devices has been so difficult. And so you've seen Samsung's profit plunge this year. It's not done too well. On the flip side, you're looking at Nvidia making these chips for AI, which is an application that is exploding at this point. But you're seeing the ripple effects across the supply chain here. And I first talk about TSMC, the world's most advanced chip maker over in Taiwan. They are the company that make the chips, actually manufacture the chips that Nvidia designs. Now, clearly, they're up, as think about 3.5% today in Taiwan. Investors thinking, well, if Nvidia are going to sell these chips, who's going to make them? Yeah. TSMC, of course. And then you look across the European chip sector as well. ASML, ASMI, again, two key players in the supply chain in terms of the tools required to eventually make the chips. Same thinking, if Nvidia is going to sell these chips, what tools are going to be required to make them? And that's where you're seeing the bump in European stocks.
Yeah, let's go back to what you were saying at the beginning, that Nvidia, a lot of this is about their ability to process GPU chips, those graphic processing units. And Nvidia seemed to have a dominant market share in that respect when it comes to artificial intelligence. Where would the competition come from at this point?
Yeah, I mean, really, Nvidia at the moment is the only game in town, to be honest, in terms of companies looking at these chips for their workloads for AI. I think the long-term risk, and clearly investors, paying Nvidia the respect with the massive surge we've seen, the long-term issue for Nvidia is companies such as Google, such as Microsoft, such as the Chinese tech giants like Baidu and Alibaba, they are designing their own chips now in a bid to sort of create their own AI chips that not only rival Nvidia's, but surpass them. Yeah. That is the goal right here. If one of these companies has a breakthrough, that could be long-term sort of negative for Nvidia because, they won't no longer need Nvidia's chips anymore. So Nvidia, for its part, needs to stay on top of the game. But of course, it's facing competition, I think, from these other players who have the capabilities and the money as well to invest in what is a very difficult area of the tech market.